All right. Good morning. I probably have you guys muted. Let me see here. Okay. All right. Let me go back to participants. Everybody's there. Everybody's a little muted right now. Okay. All righty. All right. So good morning. Can everybody see me? Just wave. I can see your picture. All right, good. Oh, the good looking bunch. Look at this. Look at this. Normally I have like 40, 50 students on the go to training class. And since the coronavirus, it's only like, I don't think I've had more than 10 people. So that's kind of strange. But anyways, how's everybody doing? Everybody staying healthy? Okay, good. Let me take the mute off because there's only a few of you, but if we get more, I can always unmute it. Wait a minute here. What am I doing? Oh, this is what I want to move over. Okay. So it's mute all, correct the new participants. Okay. All right. Instead of doing that, let's just go ahead and get started. All right. Good. Can everybody see me? Can everybody see my Alabama background? Anybody here not an Alabama fan?
I am very much a South Carolina Gamecock fan.
You didn't have to share that. Hey, I love all of the SEC. My son played in the SEC, he played at Arkansas. So anything in the SEC, thumbs up. Okay. The story behind that, it could have just have been Georgia, Florida, any of the other SEC schools that we went to summer camps last year. And could have been Ohio State. We went Ohio State summer camp last year. And but I took some pictures at Alabama camp, and I was looking for a virtual thing, and I thought that would be nice. So, and it just so happens that the shirt I was wearing when I was at that camp, I have it on today. So go figure, today's y'all's lucky day. Let me see if anybody, it says one more person is waiting. So let me admit Katrina Green. All right, so she's joining. All right. So this is the beginning. This is week 3. If you're in my section, I know many of you, my section has 5 students, all late ad from the registrar. I guess they had just gotten into the program. Can everybody see the screen? Do I need to blow up the screen any further?
I can see it.
Okay, good. Good.
Roll Tide, woo! Sorry.
Katrina, I like that. I just asked any Alabama fans on here, and Austin said, "I'm a Gamecock." I was like, "Anybody ask you about that?"
Roll Tide, roll.
There you go. Look at even got the armband. Roll Tide. I'm doing all this because I'm trying to attract karma. They really like my young son, who's going to be a senior in high school this year. And since I already had one son that played in the SEC, I'm hoping to have another. So I'm hoping that the director of recruiting hits me up and says, "We're talking about your son. I think we're going to."
Awesome. So, you guys make a rookie video to send to him?
Oh, he already got all that. They got everything. Plus, they've seen him for 2 camps in a row. And if it wasn't for Corona, we'd be there for summer number 3, I knew if we had
Corona took away a lot of blessings.
He was going to get an offer had we gone to their camp this year, I had him looking good,
Oh.
But anyways, I digress. Don't get me off on a football tangent. We won't discuss anything about mastery if I get off on a tangent. Okay. All right. Well, so good to see you guys. Everybody's looking good, healthy, staying safe. Let's just get through this here. Most of you guys really, listen, you guys know this stuff, right? So, all right, so let's get going here. So mastery, week 3. Okay. So what we're going to cover this week is social intelligence. One of the funny things about social intelligence, I tell people, I said, this is when we become young adults, and then as we mature, this is the sort of the social skills that we all pick up, right? and we pick it up in, actually, I think we pick it up in elementary school. We know who not to mess with. We know who we can share our lunch with. We know who's going to share their muffin and who's not. We know what girl in the 3rd grade likes us, and we know the ones that don't like us, right? And we just build on that as we get older, you know? We know who not to trust, and we know who, you know, we know who wants to bully the other kids and take their lunch money, and we know who's not. So we learn all this stuff, right? So success attained without this intelligence is not true mastery and will not last. And by the time you get to the workplace, you know that you're your boss, and you know that, you know, your team, and then you know who not to trust in the office because they're all about themselves, and they'll rat you out if you ever do anything. So we know this. This is what we call the social intelligence. We all know this stuff, okay? So the one thing that we also need to do is, you know, how do we deal with people? And I kind of touched on that a little bit. You know, we can see people who are introverted, who are extroverted. I want to tell you a quick story. One of the things I like to do with this class is I kind of do anecdotal stories, right? So bear with me. If you don't like the way I go about doing this, just hang in there. It's only another 50 minutes, and then you won't have to see me again. But here's the deal. When I was, I'm an engineer, right? By training, my first career I was an engineer, and so I was in this program. I was with GE. GE has this program called the Edison program. They go around the country and they look for all the best and the brightest and the most handsome, because that's how I got in. I was probably the most handsome of all the guys. And they pick these people and they come aboard GE. And for the next 2.5 years, you kind of rotate every 6 months to a different assignment to kind of get a feel for where you want to, you know, put a stake in the ground and work. Well, as part of this program, you know, there was probably about, I don't know, 100 people in the program. And the group of us, we had this thing. We all got together and we said, hey, we're going to do something social outside of work. And a bunch of us will, like the committee, the steering committee, got together and said, hey, this is what we're going to do. And we're going to play basketball. And then, you know, one of the guys says, yeah, let's do, we'll pick basketball teams, and then, you know, we'll nominate a few captains, and we'll pick people, either with basketball or baseball, one or the other. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Let's do that. You know, we'll pick a couple of guys, and then they'll go ahead and pick. And one of the guys who used to work with me, him and I had the same assignment. He had this look on his face, this pained look, and then I said, what's up? He was like, I don't like that. This whole team picking stuff. He said, I don't like that. And I said, well, why? And he said to me, he said, you know, growing up, nobody ever picked me. I never got picked. I was always the last one, you know? And he looked at me and he said, Michael, you, given your personality and just the way you are, I guarantee you everybody was picking you first. And I said to myself, I said, not only were they picking me first, I was the one doing the picking, you know? But it never dawned on me that those experiences from childhood could carry. Now, we were in our early 20s, 21, 22, but it was amazing that he did not want this thing to degenerate into people having to select him, particularly to do anything athletic, because he went to Ohio State. So his whole thing was, you know, I'm here because academically I'm strong. I got an engineering degree from Ohio State, and he felt good about himself. And he didn't like this whole picking stuff. And it never ever dawned on me that people will grow with that and carry that. So me, I'm an extrovert, right? I walk in someplace, I don't have to know anybody. I start talking to people like we are fraternity brothers, okay? Like we've been playing on a team forever, you know? Don't even know them, right? I have a habit of calling female, you know, that I interact with when they're, hey, sweetie. I do that all the time, you know? And some people say, well, Michael, maybe they don't like being called sweetie. I say, I can call them Sawi. I know they don't like that, you know? It's just a term of endearment, just to be nice. So those are some of the things that we have to consider as we sort of go through life, and many of us do. I'm sure many of you already do this stuff, right? So the ability to read people and get a feel for who they are, what they like. There's some people don't like you to touch them. There's some people that cool with it. You can put that. Some guys, you can put your arm around their shoulder, and they're not threatened by that, right? But you gotta but you don't do that. You just walk in the room and start doing that if you don't know anybody, right? People get uncomfortable with that, right? So just understand you got to kind of read the room, read people's body language. You'll read about different examples in Mastery, chapter 4, and you'll have some of this that's going to come up for the discussion board. All right, let's move along. So general knowledge, right? There's 7 deadly realities, right? These are negative qualities, often disguised from view. Okay, sometimes people, again, nobody shows their cards, right? They're often shown in some action that blindsides us and possibly harm us. So it's important to be aware and know how to read and apply those tactics to avoid them. I remember when I was in business school, we had this, it wasn't a marketing team. It was, I had a course called Organizational Behavior. It was one of the behavioral science. Loved the course, loved the professor. And there were 5 guys on this team, right? You couldn't add 5 different guys if you just randomly walk down the street and just pick 5 guys, right? We were all very different. Here we all are at the University of Chicago. We all think we're the best and the brightest, and for the first couple of weeks when we formed this team, man, you could feel the sparks. And then one night in my apartment at about 1 o'clock, it got so heated that punches were thrown, right? And there was a fight. That's you remember the old term, when you get teams together, there's the storming, the norming, and that's really what it was. And we had to say, whoa, time out, right? Michael Taylor, stop throwing punches. So we got together and we talked, and everybody kind of just put their feelings out. And some guys were like, well, yeah, I didn't, Michael, you're real vocal, you're real active, and sometimes I got the impression that I didn't think that what I had to bring was going to be valued and stuff like that. And other guys chimed in, I'm going to tell you, after that night, about 2 o'clock when we finally settled down, right? That team did this. Everybody loved it because we felt we were a team because everybody got their stuff out. Everybody said, well, that's not what I was trying to do. And we went on. Some of those guys are still friends of mine today, okay? But that's what happens sometimes when you get with people, you don't really know them, so you gotta kind of feel your way around, and people's got angst to grind and stuff like that. And all they're trying to do is protect themselves, right? So sometimes you don't really see it, but then something will trigger, and then next thing you know, we're rocking and rolling, okay? So one of them is envy, right? It's our nature to constantly compare ourselves to others. I don't compare myself to anybody, thank you very much. You just don't want to get caught up in the comparison trap, right? The reason why I don't compare myself with anybody else, my parents used to tell me, it says, man, when God made you, he broke the mold. I said, yeah, he did. Yes, he did, right? I'm from the Caribbean. I grew up as a poor boy on the island of Trinidad and Tobago. And I just think what I bring to the table is so unique that I want to share it with everybody. So I don't have the envy issue, but that don't mean to say I haven't been in contact with people who are envious, right? So you and you might too, you might be a very talented rapper or singer or dancer, or you might be very good at computer animation. And some other people in the class that's what all they wanted to do. They don't like the fact that, you're like, oh man, that's a piece of cake, right? So be wary of people who praise too much or are overly friendly. This is the beginning of a relationship with you. They might be trying to get close enough to hurt you in some way. At least the book tends to hop on that. Make sure your own behavior does not trigger their envy. So you always want to be cool, right? When dealing with envy and others, be sure to show interest in them and their interests. and do not brag about things you have accomplished during your journey. So this is when you're on your way to mastery, right? You're not there yet, right? You know, you're not Jay-Z. See, Jay-Z can brag because Jay-Z already made it, right? Beyonce is Queen Bee. So, but they don't brag. They're probably some of the most modest people you'll ever come in contact with. You know, I wish some of the guys, you know, when I was in college, that come on the basketball court would understand this whole thing. And but you know, brothers on the court run their mouth, right? Oh man, you know, and you know, and sometimes you want to be. So I was always envious of anybody that could shoot because I couldn't shoot. You know, so if a guy had a nice jumper, I'd be like, I just go down there and wait. We'll get you the ball. Just shoot it up. You know, I was a rebounder. I used to love to rebound. Now, I'm only 5 feet 9 3/4 inches, but they used to call in college. They used to call me the jumping bead. I could jump out the gym. And when I dunk on you, you know why they said. That's why they call him the jumping bead. Could just jump out the gym. All right. Conformism, right? Should you wait until you gain mastery to let your individuality shine through? It depends. You have got to know when you want to kind of tuck in your, you know, your wings a little bit and kind of get a feel for things. There's some places where conformism is good, right? Like in more technical environments, like I was an engineer. I always got in trouble, not because I wasn't bright, not because I could, but everybody thought that he ain't like the other engineers. He talk a lot, number one. And number two, he's got a personality, right? And I used to hear that in college too. People in college used to say to me, I would not hire you as an engineer. I would hire you for sales. Like, why? Because I don't walk around like a nerd? You know, there's all kinds of engineers. But I used to hear that, you know? So it was imperative for me to be careful in displaying. And like I said, I used to get in trouble at GE. Some of my bosses was like, you know, and I was like, why can't I have a personality? But you have to learn to kind of keep it under wraps. And my last assignment at GE, I didn't do a technical assignment. I did it was a sales organization, but I was part of the sales support team for the group that sold all the military hardware to governments overseas and so forth. It was the best assignment because those guys, although many of them were engineers, they had personalities. And so that worked for me. And I kind of realized, and that's the job that told me when I did that job, well, actually when I took that job was my last assignment, I'd already been accepted to a business school of my choice and had already signed on the dotted line, was already in signed and ready to go by June. So I guess I was trying to say that it helped me. No, I had already knew that what I wanted to do at that point, and it was just a matter of time. So you want to conform. You know, if you're a young doctor, you know, you don't want to be too flamboyant. You know, you want to make sure you understand, listen to the patient, and defer to the more senior doctors that you're going to be doing your clinicals with, because that's when you're going to be learning. But you can still wear a little earring. I don't know if you want to wear that color here, but you can still wear earrings, right? All right, moving along. Rigidity. That's the way we've always done it. And again, remember I told you I worked at GE, very rigid. Listen, this is how we do it here, right? And this is how you progress, right? And I was like, well, why I gotta wait till I'm 50 years old before I'm a high potential? Because that's what they told me, right? Now just think about that. How would you feel if somebody told you that you have to wait till you're, well, not 50. They told me the way they laid it out to me, I was going to be in my mid-40s. Well, who wants to be a high potential in their mid-40s? Mr. Grant, do you want to be a high potential in your mid-40s? I don't think so. Okay. So I had a lot of issues at GE. That's why I had to leave, because I know that what they envisioned for me wasn't what I envisioned for myself. You must be true to yourself. And we don't need to be robots. No, you don't have to be a robot. And, listen, I just came to the conclusion very early in my career that GE was a good place to have been at to start my career, but it wasn't where I was going to end my career. And obviously you can see I'm not there. And the stock is languishing at $6 a share. So, you know, the hard times is falling on GE, but a great place to work, right? So from the book, as you gain mastery, you'll have plenty of opportunity to let individualism shine through. Get what you need, feel confident, feel competent about yourself. It's like anything. It's like sports. You know, when you're a rookie, unless you're the #1 pick in the draft, even then, you don't show up and start calling people out. You show up, you learn the craft, you demonstrate your leadership skills, and you try to play it down the middle until the rest of the team says, that's our guy. And once the offensive line, once the big hogs up front says, this is our guy, right? You ain't got nothing to worry about, because the rest of the guys, they'll all fall in line, because the biggest guys on the field are the offensive line and the defensive line. But the offensive line got more guys. So if you got their support, you're in good shape. All right. So we talked about rigidity. We're going to talk about self-obsessiveness. It's not all about you, right? When it's time to ask for help from someone that exhibits this quality, appeal to their self-interest in some way, okay? You always want to make sure that, that you're working with others. This is really how you should interact with anyone. Acknowledge their interest. Always let people know that you're just about interested in them and their success as you are about your own success. And if people really feel genuine about you and get good vibes, they will work with you. They will enable you, right, to get what you want. And that's what it's all about. But it's not about self-obsessiveness, right? I could call a name of somebody, and maybe all of us will agree they're self-obsessed, but I won't go there. All right? Okay. So, because it's not a good thing, it don't lead to nothing positive for nobody. Okay? Laziness. We all have the tendency to want to take the quickest, easiest path to our goal. But how do you manage this, right? We live in a time of instant gratification in the entertainment world, the media world. But, the thing that I always believe in is that, there really is no shortcuts in life. You got to put the time in, right? Malcolm Baldwin, I think his name is Baldwin is his name. I tend to get his last name mixed up. Said, what is it, 10,000 hours to perfect any craft, right? And that's so true, right? And you see, like sometimes we see people who do something and it's almost like, it's like when I watch Steph Curry shoot the basketball, and I mean, the guy could walk in the gym and throw it up and it goes to the bottom of the net, but what you don't know, Steph been practicing that shot for the last 2 years, every day at practice, right? I don't know if you guys know this, but in high school, his junior year, he used to shoot the ball from that because he was a little skinny kid. He used to shoot it from his waist, right? He used to shot put it. And then his dad told him, he said, you did well your junior year. Schools are going to be interested in you. But guess what? As you grow next year, your senior year, if you plan on playing college, you can't shoot the ball from down there. People will block that, right? So he had to break him of the habit and get him to move the ball from down here, from a shot, to get the ball up here, right? And he spent all summer working on that, all summer. And he said it was the most painful thing, frustrating. But that's the kind of stuff that you have to do if you want to be successful. I tell my son that all the time. Look, I know you want to play at a big time school. I know you think you all that. I don't think you work hard enough. Now, he don't necessarily agree with me, but, he'll figure it out. Okay, flightiness. Why is it important to focus on other actions and not their words? Do you do what you say, right? Don't promise more than you can deliver. Go above and beyond what's expected. People around you change their mind on the hour. This is just about, if you promise somebody something, that you're going to do something, then be about it, right? We used to have a saying, when I was in business school, we used to say to each other, be there, right? If you say that, this is something that's important to you, this is what you want to do, then we say be there, right? Don't be all over the place, right? If you want to, if you want to be in consulting, then be about consulting. If you want to be an investment banker, then be there, right? Whatever it is, be about it. And it's one of those things I picked up in business school that I really think has helped me along the way. Just stay focused, right? Right now, this is the first month for you guys at Full Sail University, and for the next 11 months after this, you're going to be in your various disciplines, right? Whether it is film, recording arts, business intelligence, entrepreneurship, journalism, whatever it is, you are going to be immersed in that for the next 11 months. So what this, to me, how I internalize this is be there. Be about that. Don't let other things distract you, right? You have priority because you may have a job or whatever. Get that done. When you're at the job, you're at the job. But once you leave the job, you got homework to do, you got stuff to do. Be about that, right? So you have to be able to switch gears and do what you're supposed to do, because guess what, right? You're paying money for this degree anyways, and they're not going to give you a discount if you don't do well, right? So, and your job going to fire you if you ain't living up to what they're paying you for. So you got to compartmentalize and be about handling your business, okay? So that's all I say. Just be about that. When I was in business school, nothing bothered me. I broke up with my girlfriend. My car was paid for. It was a 76 Honda Accord, everything. I had nothing to worry about. Nothing, okay? And I didn't miss anything, because it was like when I left the classroom, if I wasn't playing basketball to let off some steam, I was studying, or I was dressed up in my suit trying to find my next job opportunity. Because at these business schools, we spend as much time studying as we do with companies, trying to figure out what it is we want to do next. So like every night in the fall, every night we have presentations to go to, where the companies, all the big investment banks, all the big consulting firm, Disney, you name it, they all come, and they're like this. And we get a list of all the companies that's coming in tonight. And, we have folders, they stick it in the folders, and then we're like, oh, Booz Allen's coming tonight. And some companies have, and then they'll break down the food and the alcohol and stuff, because we're all of age, and you're smoozing with them, and you're meeting all the alums from last class or 5 classes before. They're all executive VPs or whatever they're doing, and they all live in New York. They just flew in for the day to spend with you, right? And so we spend that time trying to figure out and making those connections where we want to work next, at least for our summer job. And if you get a summer job, at one of the big investment banks, chances are that's where you're probably going to end up, right? So it's a tremendous courtship, right? So be about it. All right. Passive aggression, the root cause of all passive aggression is the human fear of direct confrontation. Some people would rather hit you with a subtle jab instead of being straightforward with you. Some examples could be that they're always late, avoiding you, procrastination, or sabotaging your work. Again, you will identify those people and you will deal with them accordingly. I did not get along with everybody I went to business school with. There were some people I had some serious, some strong issues with in terms of, when I say strong, we just didn't like each other, and a class of about 900. So when you have a class of 900, you can avoid some people, right? Because there's enough people there. But it happens, right? There's some guys, man, all I want to do is when I see you, let it be on the basketball court, because we're going to need 10 people to play. But you didn't want to deal with them in the classroom. You didn't want to be on a team with them. Maybe you had philosophical differences and stuff like that. So, you really, and then there were some people I got along very, very well with. And some of my best friends, I believe this, when I went to business school, my best friends were Europeans. and particularly from Brussels. I don't know what it was about the guys from Brussels, right? I just, I found them to be nice people, and I had a couple of them on my team, but you know what? I had and the guys from the UK. The guys from the UK and I got along very, very, very well. And maybe it had to do with the fact that I'm from the Caribbean, and they are very familiar with the Caribbean because we're former colonies of the Brits, right? So maybe that was probably right. Okay, so this week, the discussion board, you're going to work on the brainstorming worksheet, right? Now, at this point, you guys pretty much know what we're going to talk about on the discussion board, right? Tonight, you're going to do your first your initial post, right? You're going to watch the video, right? Do What You Love by Tom Kelly, and do your initial post by midnight tonight. And then on Sunday, excuse me, you're going to follow that up. I think there's a part 2 to this, right? And then by Sunday, you're going to follow up with your response. I just want to click on something here but I want to go back. I want to talk about Tom Kelly. Has an interesting video, and it's about Do What You Love. And I like to share this story with my students because, again, you just never know what might trigger something in somebody. I told you I have a son that played in the SEC, and he came out he was in the 2019 draft. He wasn't drafted, but some of his friends were, and he is so convinced that he's going to play one day. One day he's going to run on to an NFL field and play the National Football League, that he is doing everything not to let that dream go. I mean, the kid is about 6'3", 250 pounds, okay? 255 if he has a ham sandwich. But here's the point I want you guys to walk away with, right? One of his teammates, the guy that played, my son's a defensive end. The guy that played right behind him was an outside linebacker. His name was Dre Greenlaw. Now, Dre was drafted by the San Francisco 49ers in the 5th or 6th round. And he went to camp with San Francisco. And early in the season, the guy who plays Dre's position, Dre was going to be backup to that guy. The guy from Alabama tore his ACL and was out for the season. So guess what? You know what they say in sports, next man up. So Dre Greenlaw became the starter. And people, it's amazing because we watch him, because I know Dre, when I would be in Fayetteville for my son's game, I'd see Dre. And then when we'd go up to the casino, we'd see Dre again. But here's the deal. My son is not giving up, and he gets to the gym. He works hard. He changes his whole diet. I think he cut his body fat from probably about 18-19%. Now I think it's down to single digits. Now remember, he's not in the league right now. Always working out, always doing his thing. And he was talking to Dre the other day right before the Super Bowl. And Dre said to him, he said, Michael, my son's name is Michael as well. He said, Michael, so many of our friends, y'all said y'all love this game. And because y'all didn't get drafted or get put on a practice squad, these guys are giving up. And Michael said, Dre, I ain't giving up. This is going to happen. I don't know the path. I don't know when, but I ain't giving up. And Dre said, that's what I'm talking about. Now, because he was Dre was in the Super Bowl because he's a starting number 57 for the San Francisco 49ers. But I watched my son work his tail off. Even today, he watches what he eats. I mean, I watched this kid went from oatmeal that had sugar to oatmeal that's raw, and he sprinkles in a little bit of blueberries. I can't do that. I gotta have a little something in there. I gotta have I gotta even throw in a little raspberry or something good. I gotta get something in my mouth. But he's focused on the fact that he needs to stay lean. He needs to be strong, and he's doing everything. And by the way, he signed last February. He signed with the Sioux Falls Storm in the Arena League. You see, he's so motivated. He decided that, okay, it's not the NFL, but it's a path. And the Friday before his first game, we had Corona, and the league was suspended, right? So now he's back, and he's hoping he gets a call. But the thing, I know you guys, some of you probably watched the video already, but when you are doing what you love, I could only imagine what it will be like the day that he signs and he runs out onto the field. Because we all gonna be there, right? And I could only tell you what that's gonna feel like, because I know, because you know why I know? I remember when the NCAA ruled him ineligible his sophomore year for some nonsense, and he had to wait a whole year. And the day that he was finally going to get on the field and play, when the police escort brought the team to the stadium so they can have their what we call the hog walk, and he was dressed in his nice little custom suit that the team gave all the athletes, I could see the emotions on his face. It's like, it's going to happen today, Dad. I'm going to get on the field, and because he's worthy, he's that good. But that when you love something, when you really, really love something, don't nobody got to pay you. So if you are in that place or on your way there, it's a beautiful thing. And I just want you to know, don't ever give up. And I don't know where you guys are going to be 2-3 years from now, but one day, don't be surprised to hear that name, Michael K. Taylor II. And then you say, oh, wow, I remember that. That's Professor Taylor's son, right? So that's a testimony I wanted to leave with you about what I get from Tom Kelly, right? Don't ever give up if it's something that you truly, truly love. It will pay off. Okay, so we went through the discussion board, right? Then the next, the assignment this week is you will conduct an in-depth review of the course concept regarding personal calling, social intelligence, brainstorming project, right? So this is the project. There's a worksheet, and I think it asks you for some strategies and talk about some stuff that you're going to do to be successful, right? Then there's also this week you're going to again reflect upon your study at Full Sail and complete the framework sheet. Right, so you're gonna get all that stuff, right? What else? What else for this assignment, right? Again, what we want you to do is use your networking skills to identify mentors and see possible internships. And there's some nice things there. Again, all this does for you, if you are not that familiar with your industry and or some of the people who have mastered it, it gives you a time to kind of reflect and start to strategize, right? When I wanted to do consulting, coming out from the University of Chicago, I knew I wanted to, so I was interviewing with McKinsey, Bain, Strategic Partners out of Washington, D.C., Booz Allen, and then the big, back then I think it was still the big 8 consulting firms. So that was Arthur Andersen, Coopers & Lybrand, Ernst & Young, and the whole 9 yards, right? So, and so they were tiered. So you knew who you had to, kind of get to know. And like I said, remember I told you earlier, all these companies used to come to the school. So you definitely ain't missing that, right? Besides, it's how we ate most nights in the fall, right? Because the food was just, you'd walk in there and have this mountain of shrimp, and claws, all kinds of stuff. Listen, you talk about being spoiled. So we didn't have to worry about cooking from Monday to Friday, mostly Monday to Thursday. We, as a student, you didn't have to cook. Put your suit on and get over to the big reception, wherever they were. Because sometimes you have 3-4 companies on campus. And University of Chicago campus is huge, so we can always accommodate anybody. So it depends on, but whoever was the biggest, like the big investment bank, Morgan Stanley or whomever, they would have the biggest hall. and we'd go there. So it was something to behold, right? If you've never been to any of these schools, I'm telling you, if you know anybody to go there, just ask them about it. Now, I graduated in '91. Things might have changed, but I don't think those companies are spending any less money. Okay? All right. We also want you to do a personal learning network, right? You've already done this, right? Because you've already done the Adobe Spark, right? So you've done that. Now we want you to take it to the next level, and we want you to add some components to it, the stuff that you think that you really need to, you know, that has, is it journals, periodicals, or whatever it is, or even, you know, websites that can provide information for you that you're gonna rely on, right? So don't worry about that. The other thing that you want to do here, we always like when people share inspirational images or stories or quotes, right? The stuff that gets you up in the morning. I share with you very quickly. One of the things, I don't know, where did I see this? I saw this on National Geographic. Let me tell you, I haven't done it lately, but one of my colleagues teaches in the Entertainment Business Masters program, and he teaches the last course, right? Final project. And at the end of that course, around the fourth week, he said, invite me to come and give a motivational speech to the students because at that point they're getting ready to graduate. And I used to talk about a couple of things, but excuse me. But the one thing I saw on that show, the show was done by Joubert, and their name is Joubert, but it was a guy and his wife. They spent their whole careers in the Serengeti just filming wildlife. And one night they said they got lucky, and they were at a watering hole, right? And you know, sometimes in Africa, in the wild, you know, a certain area there's a drought, and then the animals have to travel because you know they run out of water. Well, it was approaching that, and they had this one little watering hole that there was a lion pride that was there, and the Jouberts who was filming it, right? And what they do, they just set up their cameras and they kind of back off, and you know, maybe they got, you know, like hunters, they're just that they can see everything, but the cameras are rolling. Well, the one thing they said, that this lion pride was the largest they'd ever seen. They had like 16 or 17 lions. They're normally not that big, right? And they had like maybe 4 or 5 adult males, right? Because you know, those are the guys that do the damage, the big males, right? And so 16, 15 or so, so there's about 17, 18 of them. So about probably 13, 14 lioness, right? So they're there. So could you imagine if you're a warthog and you stumble in to go get some of that water? You're done, right? I mean, you know, so, but what they wanted to show us was a young adult male elephant stumbled in there to get some water. And boy, why did he do that? Because he wasn't a full-grown male, because they think twice before they'll attack a full-grown male or female. But this one was probably young adult. He was good size, but he was younger. And he stumbled in there, and as he was getting his drink on, they jumped on him. And again, you got 3 or 4 big males that weigh 200, 250, 200 or 300 pounds jumping on you, and then all the thing. And so the goal of the lion, the pride, was to get him off his feet. So once they get the elephant off his feet, then he's a goner, because then they can start eating the underbelly, which is, they can pierce, their teeth can pierce. The rest of it, they have a tough time. And as you were watching it, and the Joubert, they were talking intermittently in it, not to really disturb it. But I want to tell you what it did for me as a motivational. So you may have some things that does this for you. As I was watching it, I was like, oh no, you know how we get, right? Oh no, we don't want him to get eaten, you know. But as they were trying to, the males are on the top and they're trying to get him down, and then you saw the 2 hind legs buckle, and you know they were gonna get him down. and they got him down. He collapsed and was on the ground. And you know, well, that's it, because game, set, match. Then the Gilbert did something that I was like, why are you doing this? They cut the commercial. They said, you know, we'll take you back so you can see what happens. Well, when they came back, the lions were about to burrow into his middle section and eat him alive. And something in this young elephant said, you know what? I ain't dying here tonight. This is not going to happen. And the next thing he did was he had to get his front legs up. And so, I mean, now think about it, right? There's a whole bunch of lions and lioness all on him, right? He was able to get the front legs up. And as they were all on him, and you could tell the lions were like, oh. He was able to get his hind legs up. And once he stood up, he started hitting them with his head and trunk, right? And about a few minutes later, he got them all off of him and he rolled up out of there. And I started cheering. What I saw in that story, what that story told me, we have all had times in our lives where we thought, there ain't no way we're going to get out of this. We have situations in our lives where we were facing insurmountable odds, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's in our personal lives, whether it's in our family life. Maybe we were told we have an illness that's going to take us out, and we decide that we're going to fight. That's what that elephant was doing that night. The odds were against him. He should not have survived. But we've all had moments like that where we said, no, I ain't going down like that. You may win, but I'm going to fight. I've had moments like that as an engineering student where there's no way I thought I could pass this class. I had earned a D because I kept getting I kept getting 57 on the exams. And I told the professor, like, I don't understand it, T. I don't understand it, Taylor. And then what did I do? I said to him, I said, all right, professor, I tell you what, I'm gonna take a W and I'm gonna come back next semester. But I kept coming to class. And then the day before he was supposed to put in the W, I told him, I said, Professor, you know what? I don't want no W. I'm going down fighting. I said, if I'm gonna get an F, I'm gonna earn it. Or the D, I'm gonna earn it. And I said, I'll see you in a couple of weeks during the final exam. I don't think I slept a day, maybe a little bit. I went across the street. I went to school in Boston. MIT was down the street. MIT is one of the few universities, I know Harvard, which is a little further down, have 24-hour library. I called a couple of fraternity brothers and said, listen, I need to be able to get into this library, 24-hour library. They said, no problem. I said, I'll meet you there at 12 o'clock. When my university library closes, I'm gonna meet you up there. So I walked about 3 miles. I'm on MIT's campus, and I didn't sleep, and I just kept working. And then one day I figured it out. I was like, holy snap. That's why I was having trouble with the exam. My approach was all wrong. I kept studying. I would do every problem in the book. And I went to that final exam. Remember, I got a 57 average going into the final. Finals were 60%. Man, I ate that final alive. Professor said to me, he said, hey, next semester, he's like, because I had him again for another course, he's like, man, he said, you had the second best final in the whole program. We had 300 plus students. I said, yeah, I know. I said, because when we left there, I was talking to all my friends who went in with 98s and 99s. They were all complaining. I was like, no, that's not how you do that problem. This is how you do this. That's what I'm talking about. Something that motivates you, that makes you say, you know what, I ain't quitting. I ain't giving up. And if you haven't faced those challenges in your life, it's coming. And so that's one of the things I used to tell the students at graduation. think about that elephant and the insurmountable odds. Or think about somebody in your life, somebody, a family member who's diagnosed with breast cancer or some kind of cancer. And they're like, I'm gonna beat this. I'm gonna win. It's a beautiful thing to have faith and belief. All right. So you also, if you don't already have a established LinkedIn profile, we ask you to get one together and send me the link. You know, it's a beautiful thing. And so, you know, LinkedIn is wonderful. In your career, young career, you're going to find a lot of people are going to be looking at you, and you're going to be looking at other people in your field and making connection and joining groups and stuff like that. So I remember when LinkedIn first came. I'm getting so old, I have memories of all these things when it wasn't nothing. But LinkedIn is very, very important. I know people have used it to reach out to me. I don't do anything with LinkedIn other than, you know, connect with some people because I'm not looking for a job or a career. I like to think that I'm winding stuff down, but it's very important that you get a LinkedIn profile and stay very active with it. All right, so here we are at the end, where this is where I open it up for Q&A. Let me unmute everybody, and you guys can ask me any questions you want. Hold on, let me see how I can do this here. Why does, let me see, hold up, mute or more, let me see. Mute participation upon entry.
I think we can all unmute ourselves.
Okay, okay, good, yes, we can. Okay, because good. I see all the red microphones are gone. Okay, all right. So talk to me, any questions?
I think you hit the nail on the
Hey,
head.
Katrin. Is it Katrina?
Yes,
It's Katrina Green. How are you, Katrina?
I'm good. Thank you so much. I don't want to talk over. I think someone else started a question too. Is it okay if I go?
Yes. You're the only one speaking right now. Go ahead.
Okay. So can we go back to the slide with the assignment for the worksheet?
Okay.
I started working on that, and I was just a couple of questions about going through every class in our program and saying about the tangible, because of course we have the course descriptions to go off of from the Full Sail website, but is it more or less us just picking out one thing because it's a huge paragraph of stuff, picking out what thing we're excited to learn about in that class maybe?
Well, yeah, actually, you know, talk about, as you read through the courses, right? And sometimes a lot of students have an idea what the course what the class is about, and just talk about, you know, a little bit about what you think the course is about and what you think you can glean from it that may be important. Like I've seen students write about who are going into business intelligence, which is where I teach, and they'll get to my data mining class and they'll write a lot of stuff about, in data mining, you know I'm going to do algorithms and all that kind of stuff. And then they get to my class and like, oh no, I was so wrong.
I'll be in your class then. That'll be me.
Okay, all right. You know, and then when they do the sort of journal in my class at the end, they says, what I wrote about back in Mastery, that was a pipe dream. You know, I learned 100 times more of what this is all about. So don't feel like you have to be on the money, right? Just articulate what you think it's going to be about, and what you think and how you think you're going to deal with it.
Now, do we need to cite our source then at the end of each of those lines that it came from the website and then put the link? Okay.
Yeah, you can do that. And if you have any, and if you do any extra work, like EBSCOhost or something that you went out on the internet and to learn about and stuff like that, you can cite those as well. So just adhere to the APA format.
Okay, thank you.
You are very welcome, Katrina. Looking forward to seeing you. Now, they said Ali, Taylor, and Professor Summers, we call those 3 courses Amen Corner. Are you familiar with Amen Corner from golf?
I'm not.
Okay. Well, I I see Austin's laughing. At the Masters, Amen Corner, Austin, help me with this. Is it 10, 11, and 12? I think it's 10 or 11, 12, and 13. Those 3 holes on the back 9, if you're going to win the Masters, don't mess up there, because the pin placement and just the design of those holes, that's why they said, you got it. When you get through there, you say, amen.
Yeah.
because it is set up to get you in trouble. And, so anyways, so just remember that it's Ali, Taylor, and Summers, right? Amen Corner, you're in trouble.
Oh, no.
All right. No, I'm just playing.
Amen Corner.
No, listen, we have calmed down since I coined that term. Ali and Miss Summers are wonderful, wonderful professors. They will guide you through. All right. Any other questions? Robin, you've been so quiet. All Robin has been doing this whole time is smiling. So that's the only way I know stuff is resonating with her. She's like, the smile gets a little bigger. Robin, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Listen, any questions?
I kind of had a bit of a question about understanding the reading a little bit better.
Okay.
It felt like the entirety of social intelligence was, well, not the entirety of it, but about a half of it seemed to be about the manipulation of people's emotions. And in the book, it literally says to not view it as something evil or demonic. I think demonic's a little far. I don't really view it as that way, but it feels a little wrong.
Well, the interesting thing about people, and I think what the book is trying to convey, is that I think the book is really trying to be realistic, and anytime it comes to human interaction, human dynamics, you never know what you're gonna get, right? So what the book is trying to do is point out, give you a roadmap of some potential landmines, right? Because you never really know, and it's trying to make you just be. I think the author is trying to heighten your sense of awareness, so that it's like perhaps the best analogy is when you're in the jungle, right? There are some things in the jungle that are venomous, that if you step on them, it could be fatal to your career, to your life. And I think what they're just talking about here is the missteps in the corporate environs, right? You've got to be careful. Everybody is not going to be your fan. One of the things I learned about corporate America is it's a dog-eat-dog world, right? Some people want to make it, but they want to make it at your expense, Robin or Katrina. There are people like that, and they don't care who they step on, right? And there's some people that will go out of their way to hurt you because that's who they are. And the book wants to just increase your level of sensitivity and awareness that it's not that kind of environment. Even at Full Sail, I work at Full Sail. Full Sail is a great place to work. I've met a lot of great people. But everybody I met at Full Sail is not A1, and I love them. Not everyone. A lot of them are, but you just gotta be on your P's and Q's, and just be careful. And that's all that is, because people are gonna disagree with you, right? And if you're having success, and you're on the fast track and getting promoted, people are gonna hate you even more. Because why her? Why not me? Right?
If,
So let's think about it that
if
way.
I
Go ahead, Katrina.
if I can weigh in, my interpretation of it is that you can't change someone else, but you can change how you approach them. You know that if you approach them in a certain way, they're going to immediately shut down and not listen to anything you say, or they're going to verbally attack you. Or so knowing being smart and observant and realizing how can you get what you need from them to make the project you're working on successful, or for the good of all. How can you get this person engaged for the good of all? And instead of thinking of it as don't be true to yourself,
Right.
because no one wins in that situation. You both just end up hating each other and not communicating. So you have to be the bigger person and think, how can I approach this person in a way that they will understand?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Austin, you got anything to add?
a little bit.
Chaitanya, you can chime in as well.
Oh, I was waiting for you. You go ahead. I'll wait after you.
Yeah, I'll kind of hop on that as well, because I felt with this chapter, usually when we're kind of reading in something, it's always here are the positives, here's what you need to know, here's kind of the good aspects of everything. This chapter was a little bit more of what I call the devil's advocate to the book.
Yes.
Like a group project, a team aspect. I know usually, unfortunately for me, that's usually the role I take in, that one person who's like, yes, this is a great idea, but who's thinking of this?
Right.
And thinking of that. And it's not to be the negative person, it's not to kind of, ruin the maybe momentum that was going. It's to make sure all grounds are covered so that you just have that bigger awareness of things, that when you're in a light of, positivity, of good things. And yes, people like, this is great, this is good, this is awesome. It's like, that's great. I'm glad we're moving somewhere. But what about, these little small things we're passing on because of this energy? So this just kind of hits on those concepts that you're just aware. You can kind of take in and say, okay, when this comes up, I know the exact type of person you are. Now, how do I, engage with you and kind of
right
the situation a little bit better?
Yeah, and believe it or not, every group, every organization or team, a project team needs to have that one person who says, this is great, man. We're going in the right direction, but let's not forget this, right? It's like the checklist, it's like the blind spots. And so, Austin would be the kind of guy that I want on my team, because I'm hard charging, right? We got this great idea, but you need everybody, because the one thing that he may highlight might be that most important thing that could compromise the team, the project, or the work. But so that's why it's called a team, because everybody will bring something different, and you've got to be able to. So the key thing is you have to be able to appreciate and say, hey, let's listen to this, right?
I agree. I'm the same way you are, Mr. Michael. I'm more of a head first. I'm a doer. I'm gonna do it, and then I have friends. I was blessed with good friends and a good boss that they're the thinker. They're like, all right, well, shit, Tony, what about this? And I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm like the dream big, do great things, and then they bring me back to reality.
Right.
And then when they bring me back to reality, we meet the middle point, and then I just make it happen. Like, so I do agree with what everybody's saying. Definitely do need to think about what the good and the bad are, more so the bad versus the good, because even if you worry, like, the good thing's gonna come, at the end of the day, but you worry about making sure you establish something and where you are.
In a way, it's a little bit like the story I told about my friend when I was at GE, right? He didn't like the picking of the teams, right? He didn't, right? And it was good because the people who were having this discussion were the people who were doing the planning. And so there are probably other people in the group who probably felt the same way that he felt, but they're not there to be part of the conversation. And as I mentioned, it was good to hear him, because I was like, that's a blind spot for me, because I was always the one doing the picking, right? So I could never relate to him. But I listened to him because I was like, oh, because I do know people like that you know, that may not or did not as a kid excel in athletics, right? I was that guy at my high school. I was that guy that nobody could beat when it came to track and field, nobody could beat me. The coach was the fastest guy on the team. When it came to soccer, I grew up in the Caribbean playing soccer. They said I was probably the best 16-year-old in all of New England, right? Because I grew up playing this game. Now, I won't tell you what year this was, so, not to tell my age, but back then, soccer is not where soccer is today in America. It wasn't back when I was 16, right? So you may not understand it, but you can appreciate it, because there were things I wasn't good at, right? And you gotta listen to everybody, particularly on teams. And believe it or not, if you've never worked in teams coming up, and that's where sports is so good, because in sports you can't do it by yourself unless you're playing an individual sport like tennis or golf. But when you play team sports, you know that I gotta depend on other people, right? And then and sometimes you learn it in sports too. There's some kid on the team whose father's got it in his head that, you know what, when you get out there, I want you to take every opportunity you get to shoot the three. Well, if he's doing that, what happened to the big man down in the post or the other guy who might be open to get a better shot? If he's selfish. I have coached little league teams like that where kids have behaved like that because their parents are in their ear. And when I look over, I see the father saying it, So that's all we're saying. Everybody is not always pulling in the same direction or want your success for you. You may want success for them, but they may not want that for you. Any other questions? No more questions?
No, sir.
I kind of had a specific, but it's kind of like going off of what I already asked, which is in the reading, it talks about how Ben Franklin had like wickedly good social intelligence, and there was, I can't remember the guy's name, but there was a man on the council that had a problem with him, and Ben Franklin decided to ask him to see his prized book, but it never really says that he actually had any sort of interest in the book. So it kind of makes me think that he just asked to see the book just to like manipulate this guy into liking him. And like, if he didn't actually care about the book, I don't know, that just feels kind of mean. Well, I don't know. Sorry. I'm a sensitive soul.
Robin, that's all right. But again, remember, it's a book. So we don't really know whether Ben Franklin followed through on that according to the story, right? However, one of the things we talked about is sometimes you've got to let people know that you are interested in them. Right. And, it's like, it's like, how can I say this? I'm trying to see if I can get an example.
I just feel like with the Ben Franklin situation or in life, my track coach, he always said, if you're going to be the man, then be the man. Like all that, second thought should not even, and it's crazy because in high school, when he said that, I didn't get it until I went and played college football. I got it. Like,
right.
You're going to be the man, then be the man. Don't say, oh, I'm going to be the best, and you still partying and you're not dieting. Like, if you're going to be the best, then be the best. Find out what they're not doing, you need to be doing. Like, it's crazy because, like I said, when I went to college, I see what he was talking about. Because he went to Virginia Tech and he ran cross country.
Mm-hmm.
He was telling the story, like, obviously he wanted to be better and be the best in the nation. And
mm-hmm.
then he was number 3 or whatever at that time when he went.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he told me his old diet and whatever he had to do. So like I said, when I went to play college, I understand. So in life, I do if you're going to be the best, at what you do, then just be the best. Like there's no excuse. Obviously, there's trials and tribulation, everybody has that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just be the best.
Yeah. So I want to go back to Robin for a second, because Robin, I think the other thing that Ben Franklin, and I think for sure Ben Franklin was trying to, sometimes he's trying to connect with this guy, you know, and sometimes to connect with people, you know, you ever meet somebody and you're having a conversation and the conversation is all about them, and it doesn't come off of that, and you start saying, what an egotistical knucklehead, right? And so what's important sometimes is if you, when you meet certain people and you kind of get a sense of who they are, right? You know, you try it, and it may be them talking about themselves, and you say, how's your wife? Or how's your kids? You know? And automatically it switches, because now they get to talk about something that they're probably more, see, because sometimes what people will do will put up this false front, right? And they'll tell you what a great tennis player they are and how, you know, they were ranked number, you know what I'm saying? But when you get to the soft stuff, the stuff that really matters to them, because you see, when they meet you, they have this wall. Remember I told you about our team, right? And until we threw fisticuffs, right, and moved some furniture in my apartment, the team, everybody's guard was up. But after we got through this little scrimmage and people had an opportunity to bare their soul and talk about who they are and why they're at this university, because we're all qualified, right? The school gets 55,000 applicants for 800 seats. Do the math, it's less than 3%.
Those
right?
are hardcore odds right there.
Yeah, you know? So, and guess what? All the people in the class are not coming from the USA. They're coming from all over the world, right? I had as many Japanese students in my class. I had Chinese, I had Koreans, right? I told you about my Belgian friends and people from all over the world. So we were all qualified to be there. But remember, we all believed in the hype, right? And so we all bring a certain level of arrogance. So don't nobody want to drop their guard. Everybody feel like they want to be the man. But believe it or not, everybody ain't the man. Everybody can't be the man, because whatever you brought to the program, there's somebody more competitive than you. You know, you might walk away saying, man, I thought I was competitive. This guy takes it the whole, you know, it's like guys in the NBA said, Michael Jordan was just off the charts when it came to competitive. The guy even would compete with Thorne Nichols, right? If you watch The Last Dance, he was with the other support staff. They were throwing quarters up against the wall. Whoever gets closest to the wall, it was a $20 bet. You don't get more competitive than that, and that's what propelled him, because he was always looking for something for that edge. And there's nothing wrong with that, because if you superimpose that to Benjamin Franklin, he just wanted to get to that place, and he was prepared to do whatever it took to get there. And a lot of people don't agree with that sometimes, you know, but you can't argue with the results, right? So when people complain, again, going back to the Michael Jordan example, a lot of people were like, well, he was mean and he beat up on Steve Kerr. Yeah, but Steve Kerr got 3 championships, right? He got 3 championships. He has a new level of accomplishment, and now he's big time coach. I'm sure everything he learned on that team with Michael Jordan and the years after that, and he said that helped him to be where he is today. And he's making, by the way, he's making more money now as a non-player than a lot of people, right? So sometimes, what is the saying? The means justifies the end. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes you got to play a little bit of dirty pool to get to where you need to get to, you know. But sometimes it's not always dirty pool. Sometimes it's strategic. Yeah, go ahead, Katrina.
I just because I actually talk for networking and teach people how to network. Whether you're looking to make an enemy or a friend or a new business partner, you need to know about that person, whether and if you're not asking questions and getting to know that person, that's shame on you. That's not manipulating them. That is, I have to understand you to understand what's important to you. Right. I want you to understand what's important to me. So it's actually really selfish if you're not asking other people about themselves. If you're not interested in other people, why should they be interested in helping you?
Exactly.
Yeah, and even kind of on top of that, kind of going again to the look, I guess, devil advocates type thing. I think this chapter really, it wants you to step into this uncomfortable realm where traits that we define kind of negative, like being selfish, being cocky, you know, overconfident, things like that, there are actually positives to them as well. Mm-hmm. Even though someone may call you cocky, that means, you know, they're going to defend this stance. They're really going to hold firm. So if I'm going to present something that's a counter argument, I know I have to prepare myself a little bit better. And that was, of course, a strategy where they talked about, you know, so kind of when, you know, even selfishness, you know, I know my worth, my value, and things like that. Those can be seen as negative traits, but they could also be good defense for a positive character trait about you as well. So kind of taking that in and kind of letting that boost you a little bit, feeling, you know, assured for yourself when you're presenting and talking to people, even the kind of the networking aspect Katrina was talking about as well. You got to kind of embrace some of these qualities, but you know, still keep that mirror on yourself. Understand that I come off this way, so I may receive this as a result. So I need to kind of check yourself.
Right.
You know, get the humbleness, but at the same time, you know, get the job, talk to the people, work for it.
Right. You know, and you know, something that I have a lot of experience with. I could tell you how many times I was called arrogant. I was called arrogant so many times, I thought that was my middle name. Okay. And, you know, I never understood it because I was like, but I'm a nice guy. Right. Right. But sometimes you don't see the effect you have on others who may not display their confidence as overtly as you do. And and they feel it. They feel your energy. I had a guy when I was a young engineer, it's the first time I saw this. I was a young engineer, and there was this senior engineer. He was I was 23, 24, and this guy was probably in his 50s. And I looked up to this guy. When I went over to the manufacturing facility, I was looking for him because I know he was going to answer my question, right? And then we went off to this team building exercise for a week on campus. And he had to talk about some stuff. And he said to the team, he says, when I see Michael coming, he said, my heart starts beating faster. He says, he's a ball of fire. And here he comes, you know? And I was like, Doc, me? Right? He says, your energy, he says, when I see you coming, he says, I know I'm in for a serious, vigorous discussion because you got something on your mind about your my parts, right? Because I used to design jet engine parts and for GE. And it was the most amazing thing to hear Doc describe me as, he said, you are like a whirlwind. And I couldn't believe it. It's the first time I heard it. And he was just like, he said, and he wasn't saying anything bad. He was just saying your energy level. He said, it's like, woof, right? And I love Doc. I respect Doc. But it was good to hear him say that because I got to look at myself a little differently in terms of how people perceive me, right? And then I asked some other people, and they said, I was like, sometimes you don't know, right? But it is what it is, how people perceive you, right? And the name of the course that I went to is called Your Effect on Others, and I learned a lot, you know. But you don't use that to avoid and to not be yourself, right? Understand it, and understand when people react to you, you might need to do a little extra with certain people, right? You might need to say, hey, Austin, Let's go have a cup of coffee. And that one-on-one, you could talk about, you know, things you did, little craft you did at the house, your garden, stuff like that, right? If I was doing this with Chantani, I would say, man, let me tell you about that run I made in high school football. You know what I'm saying? When that safety was coming down and he was about to lay the wood, next thing you know, I stopped abruptly and he went, you know, that might be something not knowing. See, I didn't know Chantani had played football, but, you know, but if you don't talk to him, you ain't gonna know, right? And you connect with people, you meet them where they are, right? Because as much as I could tell him about my high school football, he could tell me about that, and he could tell me about his college football. And then you start connecting. Then he walks away and says, hey, that guy's not that bad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But did I do something deceptive? Not really. I just wanted him to see me more than what he's seen before, or more of a 360 degree, because we are all not one-dimensional. There's a lot of things about us that if we know the person, we can pick and choose and says, yeah, but you don't know that if you with him and you're out somewhere and there's a fight, he ain't running, he's gonna be with you, right? And you need to know that about people, but the only way you're gonna know that is you gotta get to know them. You ever hear people say, I would be in a foxhole with that guy any day?
Yeah. What
they're saying is they know that you got their back and they won't abandon you. And then there's some guys, you go out with them, and if an altercation breaks out, you grab them and say, let's go. Because, you know, they're not up for this. So, you know, and that's what they call the social intelligence. You got to know, you got to have a better appreciation for people, but to have that, you got to know them, get to know them. And the only way you get to know them is that you got to interact with them. And they'll eventually, people will tell you who they are, right? They will tell you who they are, right? And when they do, you better believe them. All right. I know we're running long. Everybody else in the class they're gonna love to hear this discussion because this was great. All right? This is great. So I just want to say it was a plumb pleasure working with you guys today. This was my best, I gotta say, this was my best mastery live training. This was my best.
Awesome.
Right? So all you guys are terrific.
I'm excited for your class.
Say again?
I'm excited for your class.
I'm disappointed I don't have your class.
Well, Robin, what program are you going into? Are you in?
Media design.
Media design. Well, you can come over to business intelligence, so you can switch. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
But that ain't for me.
Mr. Graham, what program are you going into?
Business entertainment.
Okay, so you're in EBMS. That's a good program. I used to teach in that program.
Oh, so come back. You know what I'm saying?
Huh? Oh, hey, I tell you what, your next class is with a guy by the name of Steve Atkins. You're going to love Steve. Leadership.
Yes,
Steve is the real deal, right? Mm-hmm. Austin, what program are you going in?
The Entertainment Business Masters as well.
Internet?
Entertainment.
Oh, okay. So you're going to be with Chantani?
Yeah.
Chantani, am I saying your name correctly?
No.
No?
It's Shantoni, but it don't bother me. I'm not.
You know, I watched it and I kept saying that it's not Chantani, it's Chun, right? Chan, Chan.
Yeah, Shan, like Shantoni.
Yeah. So the C's kind of a little silent, a little bit.
Yes, like yes.
Yeah. Okay. Because I kept watching and kept saying, I don't think I'm saying that right. That's why I asked. Robin, were you going to say something?
I was just gonna say that I did the response to his discussion board, and I was like, I wonder how he says his name, because I don't think I'm saying it right.
Yeah.
But yeah, both of you, that's EBMS. You're gonna have a good time. Steve Atkins is a very, very good friend of mine. I mean, I'm gonna share this with the whole team. So. Steve called me 2 weeks ago when the folks started rioting, and he called me up and he says, I'm disturbed, and I know that this is probably impacting you and your 3 sons, and I just want to make sure that I touch base with you and make sure that you're all right. That's the kind of guy he is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So Steve is good people, and he's a big Cardinals fan. let me tell you, he died and went to heaven when the St. Louis Cardinals win the World Series. And so you know what happens when the hockey team, right? What they call the St. Louis Blues. Oh, I couldn't shut them up. Yeah. When's the last time the St. Louis Blues won anything in hockey? Right?
Yeah.
So that's right. So and I grew up in Boston, so I'm a big Bruin fan, right? So you know, I don't even get emotional in the hockey final because the Boston Bruins have won it so many times, you know. But for Steve, oh man, listen, I think he went back to St. Louis for the celebration. So, anyways, but he's good people. Y'all gonna have some good. Like I said, I used to teach final project in that class and some other courses. Great program, a lot of good faculty still there. You guys are gonna have a good time. And Bill Thompson teaches the final project. I think he does another course, but y'all gonna love Bill Thompson. Bill is just a huge teddy bear, right? Lovable guy, one of my best friends in the whole program. All right, y'all. Group hug. Y'all be good. Katrina, I'm telling you, I'm waiting for you, girl. I'm waiting for you.
If I can make it to your class, this software is scaring me.
You're gonna be fine.
I'm gonna have some late nights before I get to you, I'm sure.
Yes, no, you're gonna be good. You're gonna see Professor Ramos right out the gates in your second month. Good guy. You know, we have a very good staff, so you're gonna have some fun. All right.
Thank you.
Good luck to each and every one of you. I'll see Katrina. I'll see you. If you guys need anything, please reach out to me, MJ Taylor at Full Sail, and I'll be more than happy to touch base. Anything you just want to chit chat, let me know. All right.
All right.
Man, it's been a plum pleasure. Y'all take care. Enjoy the rest of your week and your weekend. Bye-bye, everybody. Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for the session.
You're very welcome.